not only you are welcome, also I welcome Hendrik Blokhuis, Senior Director and CTO at Cisco, who will...
Stefan, fijn hier te zijn.
Who will help me with this presentation. Now, before we start the presentation, maybe I tell you a story which I experienced some weeks ago. I was working at the office, and I was on my laptop, and all of a sudden I got a pop-up on the screen, and the pop-up asked me, said to me, I had to reboot my computer, and he gave me two choices. I could postpone, or I could apply it directly. So, but I was busy working, so I thought, okay, I postpone it. And then a moment later, 1 hour later, I had a meeting, but I forgot. I postponed, of course, that reboot. And halfway that meeting, again, I get a pop-up, and the pop-up said to me, okay, I'm ready to reboot your computer within 1 minute. So the meeting I was hosting actually was completely finished at that time. So that's a bit the problem when you don't build a resiliency in your way of working, and that's exactly what I experienced. Now, imagine you have the same context in a company environment. You are a security responsible, you didn't thought about resilience, and at a certain moment your network is attacked. Then there are a lot of questions which you probably don't have the answer for. What is the impact of that breach? Which services do I have to restore? Do I have a baseline? Are the hackers still active in my network? What about the identity? Can I trust people to let into my network, or are their passwords stolen? There are a lot of questions you can ask. You have to ask yourself, which you cannot answer when you don't have that resilience in place. Now, we at Proximus, we see as a result that our customers are shifting their enterprise connectivity. Before, they had a rigid network, often an MPLS network with a hub and a spoke. There was no view on the traffic on the network. There was security, which was on different levels, different vendors often. Also, the IT, as a result of that kind of network, was often in, or is often in, firefight mode. Oh, sorry.
Resilience.
Yeah, that's something I didn't thought about. Yeah, they are often in firefight modus, and as a result, there is a risk of downtime and disruption in the network. Now, what are customers looking for? That's network which is adaptive, a software-defined network, a network with which makes use of different connectivity layers. You need your guarantee for some applications, but for other applications you need high bandwidth. So you need a network which can cope with that. You want to have control and insights on that network. You want to know which traffic flows are there in the network. End-to-end protection you need. And of course, you want also to have some things to be automated. Now, the framework we built together with Cisco is our smart and secured company framework, in fact. And the underlay, the connectivity layer, consists of managed internet, of also managed connectivity, and some of you may maybe recognize the Explore logo, which is our brand for our managed connectivity. But also we see more and more coming up 4G and 5G as a part of that kind of networks. So far, nothing new. Then on top, we built our smart and secure network. It's here where the SD-WAN comes in place. We use therefore the Cisco Meraki solution, which is a cloud-based solution and which can assure this visibility, this end-to-end security, the assurance of the network. From that moment on, you have, in fact, from side to side, an entire managed solution. We can extend that with our what we call smart site, which is the LAN and WLAN of Cisco Meraki. And at that moment, you don't only have site-to-site visibility, but you have visibility from the end user up till the data center. These solutions can be integrated with Proximus' own security solutions and with Cisco security solutions. And from left to right, you see our Proximus DDoS wall, where we do DDoS filtering in our backbone. We have our Proximus Enterprise Guest, where we can onboard guests, Wi-Fi guests, with legal intercept. And a very important one is the Cisco Secure Access, which you see there in the middle. This is the SSE solution from Cisco, where you, and in combination with the SD-WAN, you can build up a full SASE solution. Cisco Talos, the security intelligence of Cisco, is used by both underlay as overlay. And with Cisco Thousand Eyes, you can even go a step further. And you can not only have the visibility in your own network, but you can have visibility up to the data center of Amazon or Microsoft and all the backbone elements. On top of that, we have our managed services. They consist of NOC services, SOC services, and so it's basically networking, monitoring, where we look at the status of the different devices, but also security monitoring, where we can detect and protect your network. We can also have some advisory missions we do for our customers, like compliancy, for instance, is a very a topic which comes a lot with our customers. So, as you see, we have a portfolio built up together, which is quite complete. Yeah, and Hendrik, it's for more than 30 years. We work now together, Cisco and Proximus.
It does. We do.
Yeah. And so a huge evolution, beginning from the routers up till the solution we have now. So,
thanks a lot, Stefan. Yeah. And I mean, this is a great summary. We can almost go to Q&A now. But no, I promised to share some observations. So there's no more Cisco plugging of products. I mean, we have a great booth, and there's another time for that. I think it's a great summary. What I want to do in the next 15 to 20 minutes is basically share some observations how we look at the world of technology, how it underpins digitization in economy, society, but also give you some best practices from Cisco ourselves. So not to pitch our products, but we are a large organization under attack. We have 80,000 people. We have an ecosystem of partners of 500,000 people around us. So just sharing, and maybe they're not best practices because they don't apply to you, but they are practices that hopefully you can take away from it. So it's a true pleasure and honor to be here. And thanks again, Stefan, for being such a great partner. And Proximus, yes, yeah. I need this. Because indeed we have been doing business since the 90s. I work at Cisco since 98, so 28 years. Some say too long. But I really love my job because I think it's a fortune to be working in the ICT industry, and if you with the good, the bad, and the ugly, I understand. But there's so much happening around us. But it's not just a pleasure to be here; it's also an honor because I have been talking to quite a few of you and in the other rooms. And if I look at the diversity and the skills and the seniority that's in front of me, that is humbling. So I'm just authentically sharing some of my thoughts, some of the company direction in this world. But I will take you not just to the 90s, but to the year of our Lord 1984, because two things happened in that year, which were key milestones for me. First of all, on July the 24th, I was celebrating my 14th birthday, and my parents gave me this. Who recognizes this? Yes, I always have a soulmate. It's a Sinclair ZX Spectrum. I see some people smiling. This little box from a UK innovator called Sir Clive Sinclair got me into ICT. So it's a very important box for me. But also in the world of ICT, I love how Sir Clive Sinclair democratized the computing technology for the masses, because suddenly common people could possess a computer, they could start programming. I mean, who remembers how much memory we had in this box? Anybody? It's 48K. I mean, mind you, you could play chess on this. So what about AI? In 1984, we already had it. Well, light versions, machine learning, but still, in that same year, 1984, something else happened, which was Cisco got founded. And like Stefan said, I mean, we started building a box that was connecting these protocols back in the days like AppleTalk and DECnet and IPX and, oh yes, IP as well, which became the standard. And from then on, if you want to become a networking company nowadays, you have to be a security company. But if you want to be a security company, you have to be an AI company. And if you want to be an AI company, you have to be a data company. And that's, for example, why about 18 months ago we acquired Splunk for no less than $28 billion, because we needed that fourth piece of the puzzle to provide you with a observability platform that will help you build the digital environments that you need going forward. Back to digital resilience. We used to talk about cybersecurity and security, and now suddenly this word digital resilience popped up. And it's not just another way for marketing to sort of create this umbrella term underneath we try to sell our technology. I think digital resilience is more than just cybersecurity. If I translate it to Dutch, weerbaarheid, or en France, résilience, it's more than that. It's like the immune system that's integrated in our body. It's not just a defensive stand that we can protect ourselves, but if you are weerbaar, if you are resilient, you can also get on your front foot, be offensive. You're strong enough to seize the market opportunities, to do whatever you like and you ever want, and have a strong stance in that. But this is quite a compact formula, the ability to keep your organization securely up and running in the face of any disruption. But it's only the defensive part. I just want to make that clear. Because the challenge that each and every one of you have is to thrive in this new digital area, and we all want to thrive, whether you're for the public sector or the private sector. You need to connect all these things, like the people, places, apps, data, and devices, and that's what we provide you the technology for, that power the business. But then also, if you connect it, you need to protect it, and then against all these threats. But in order to connect and protect, you need to observe what's happening. And by the way, that's why the network is a great place to observe, because it sees basically everything passing by in real time nowadays to deliver assurance and, which I think is an underestimated term, trust. Because I genuinely believe that not just for us as Cisco, also for each and every one of your organization, trust is the most important currency of that organization. Of course, you're the right price, the right product, good after-sales service, but your trust brand, how your customers and your ecosystem partners perceive you from a trust perspective is second to none. Now, trust is easily said, yeah, please trust me. But then you say, well, hey, Hendrik, why should I trust you? We have to make it tangible. And as an organization, so here's my first best practice, we thought about, we have to create a tangible trust model for all our ecosystem partners, but also at Proximus, they want to be able to trust Cisco. How does Proximus know that if they resell a Cisco product, it has not been tampered with? How do we deal with our security? That's important, because their business on a big part relies on a vendor like Cisco. So quite recently, think about for your own organization. What is your trust model? We thought about, what does it mean? Well, first of all, that's the first bucket, obviously, you need to be cyber secure. You need to protect yourself, and we have a zero trust networking architecture, absolutely. But not just that, also for your supply chain. We have more and more customers that want to go to our supply chain ecosystems in the Far East to see how the employees are being digitally secured. Because if your ecosystem isn't safe, you can say, yeah, well, I'm safe, it was not my problem. Well, it is. If one of our suppliers is being breached, and we've seen many examples of that in the past as well with other companies, that's a thing, you have to have a trusted supply chain. Then, of course, which is the other angle of trust, it's not just about cybersecurity, it's also about privacy, about sovereignty. So, hey, Cisco, it's great that you collect all this data from me and my customers, but how do you treat it? And in some cases, I do not want it to leave the country. So that's a very important one to make tangible. Show us what you do with your data. And then be open to what you do, very underestimated. Every quarter, we bring out a very open and honest transparency report. Because in some cases, the law dictates us in a certain country to give certain information away. But we want to be transparent about it. If somebody has hacked us, if there's And this week there was a tiny hack. We open it up and tell it, because trust first of all starts with transparency, and then prove it. I mean, do regular pen testing, certifications, etc., etc. So just don't look at this as okay, Cisco, thank you, well done, great pitch, but look at it from your own organization. What is my trust model if one of my customers comes to me and say, hey, how can I trust you? And there's much more detail, and I would welcome you to go to trust.cisco.com. There's no product on there. It's just how we address all these elements, and maybe you can make good use of it. Back to digital resilience. The digital experience from a customer's perspective is simplicity. It's simple. That's why we have the digital apps, to make it easier for our customers to do business with us. And the application nowadays is not just part of your business. The application is your business. However, and if you're working in the IT departments of your companies, we all know that digital experience are very, very complex because they are cumulative. I mean, if every one of those 7 layers is 99.9, you end up with 99.5%, which in today's day and age is simply not good enough. But how do you correlate? Because maybe one solution takes care of layer number 3, and then another takes care of layer number 4. So what we try to do from a networking point of view, as it sees everything, is to have observability across the whole stack. But then again, we were lacking, at Cisco, one important point, which was the data platform, and that's why we decided to acquire, which we now have in Splunk. And please pay them a visit at the booth. And next to that, it's not just these layers, but even the networking component layer itself. Networking is complex nowadays. It's great that we can connect all these things and places, but we very often, or most of the time, we have hybrid cloud, we have networks that we own, networks that we don't own, but do influence our digital experience. How can you have networking and visibility and assurance across that? So that's a big puzzle. And the ability to detect, investigate, and respond basically is a data problem. But what we found internally in Cisco is not just a data problem, it's also an organizational problem. It's a cultural problem. Because even within an organization, people think that is my data. Why do you need my data? Yeah, so that's something that we also underestimated, but we're trying to solve now with what we also internally call One Cisco, to bang those heads together and say, hey, sharing is caring. So please do that, because it sits in all these different silos, which is a problem. So this is a bit of a North Star that we have. So what if you could harness all the data across your entire digital footprint and beyond to build this resilience? And that's not a nice to have, it's a must have. Because you cannot skip a layer. You cannot not do it fragmented or only partially. There's only one way of doing it, that is across all these layers that I just spoke about. But if you then have that data, and then with the blessing of collecting it and then having AI, we finally can start talking, we're not there yet, about becoming predictive. And this predictivity is like a bit of a dream still, but we're getting close to it. And I will give you an example that yesterday we announced a time series learning model, an LLM. So yes, also Cisco is developing LLMs. We already developed an LLM based on all the threat intelligence that Talos has. We developed also an LLM on the 40 years of networking experience and the hundreds and thousands of after-sales cases from our customers. So we give that open source. But we yesterday announced another open source model, which is specifically around time series data. Now you might have heard about it. Who knows what time series data is? Yeah, not many. It's a bit of a term that has been there, but it's now popping up. Time series data is like a stock price. Every day, next day, and hopefully it goes up, or the temperature of one of your installations, or whatever. So it's a data point that's being measured every second, every millisecond, every day. That is domain-specific data for your organization. And maybe you can think about certain time series data. And now with the time series data LLM, you put it in there and it can sort of start predicting certain outcomes. So certain trends going towards a too high temperature for a robot or for whatever. Think about your own organization. And that is the blessing of collecting the data, having AI to do that, to prevent major issues, but not just the prevention, to remediate faster and to adapt quickly. And that is something that we put our money in a lot, not just from an M&A perspective, but also from a research and development perspective, to give you that platform and capability to start becoming predictive, which is critical because the adversaries or bad state actors are doing exactly the same. So using AI, and that's why I said Cisco needs to be a networking company, security, and an AI company. There's no escaping because the bad guys are using it as well. So this is sort of the only architecture picture I'm going to show you here that sort of summarizes what we try to do, to give you the technology and the elements to build the networks, yes, but then to have this AI-driven data platform for, on the one hand, network assurance, and assurance meaning giving your customers the application performance that they want and know and love, the observability, and then for security operations. Obviously, there's a big case and a big use case of collecting the data to see malicious behavior. Because you might not realize it, but more than half of the hacks are not a hacker breaking in, they're simply logging in. They have stole credentials. Now they logged in with a certain user, yeah, like Hendrik, but I only have certain permissions. So what a hacker then starting to do, when he's in, he starts to make lateral moves towards, for example, certain IP or product information that he's after, or a marketing database. But that's not my normal behavior. So the network is able to understand, listen to it, and watch that behavior, and my identity as it's being profiled is then being able to quarantine this so-called Hendrik, because hey, he's logging in from Hong Kong, he's approaching the marketing database, and he hates marketing, so why is that? He's never been there. That's kind of the intelligence, the identity intelligence that we can then, for example, bring from that platform to you. A little bit more on AI, and just, I know it's 3:15, little joke, don't see anybody smiling, old one probably. Yeah, we've seen this. It's the biggest disruption we've seen yet. Let me give you just one angle, which I think is not it's another big disruption, because I think quantum computing will be another one. But the rate of adoption is stunning me. I mean, my goodness, this is coming at us fast. And if you work in the IT department, we always seem to be running behind and catching up. Because what about security? What about our infrastructure? And that is why we are basically needing to close 3 different issues. First of all, the infrastructure constraint. Because AI, especially agentic AI, puts a lot of pressure on the infrastructure. Then the trust deficit. How can I trust AI? How can I secure AI? That's a big headache, and we try to provide you with the technology to help you with that. And then the data gap. Yes, we have a data gap, and I will quickly show you which one we mean. On the infrastructure, it's not so much the chatbots, the Gen AI that we currently have, which has been great, because that's more like a chatbot. I'm asking you something. Yes, there's a lot of things happening, but then it slows down. But an agent, and soon you will have tens, hundreds, and thousands of agents running around on your network, they could be working 24/7, 365 days in the year. That gives a huge pressure. I was talking to the vice presidents of networking from IDC, and they did a survey. Number one, so where is IT going to invest? Number one was security, no surprise. Number two was getting the infrastructure ready for AI. So you probably recognize this, but this is something we shouldn't underestimate. It become a huge pressure on it. And then of course, and it has been mentioned as well, that more and more of the inferencing will be done at the edge. So here you see what it used to be, 90% of the data processing in all your organizations done by the data center, 10% on the edge. This will soon, by 2027, this is a major shift. So you need to start investing in compute power at the edge of a network. Also to prevent all the data that agents are collecting and moving around to your data center, which is not feasible. You can't pay for that. So that is why we need more inferencing edge capabilities. So this whole AI thing is showing what we call your infrastructure debt. And when it comes to security, it becomes, of course, a real danger. Trust deficit, we talked about that one, the need for end-to-end and visibility. And I'm speeding up a little bit because I do want to leave some time for Q&A. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is really to be taken seriously. All these threats and threats vectors. And if you then look from an agentic point of view, I mean, mind you, another call out is that agents will soon have an identity. because we need to decoupling them from the user that started them. Because I do not want to be the owner of certain agents. I don't want, if agents doing work, that's Hendrik. No, that's not. That's an agent. Should be independent. So we should have an identity and certain profile that we then can test for its behavior to see if it's behaving. So I think that is that's a crucial element of the whole AI agent and the threat factors with that. And then in closing, I think by now the Gen AI models which relate tokens, the words together across the whole internet, we've sort of been done scraping. But there is this big promise of what I would call, machine data. And that is what I just talked about when we introduced the time series model. That's all that data in real time that's being processed by the processes, whatever industry that you're in. And that is something that we think, so basically we need to learn AI, what machine data is. And then use that with, for example, a time series data learning model to then start helping us to get into the predictive in the predictive universe, so to say. So this is why we also launched a data fabric to be able, a machine data lake for you to then scrape it and sort of apply Gen AI, but then for machine data. Very exciting stuff, because this is still an untapped potential. Last slide. A bit of a best practice, also a bit of a summary. At Cisco, we think you need to trust, understand, and govern AI. And I'm talking not about our products to you, but as an organization ourselves. So what we 2 years ago, we designed our 6-step AI readiness model. And we started with the governance and the ethics, and it was being said also in the plenary room. Then the security and trust, the strategic business intent, data quality, people and skills, and process integration. And that last one we're still struggling with, because again, that's not a technology problem, it's an organizational problem. How can you use AI not to bolt it on existing processes and give it to a silo? No, how can you look at a complete workflow within Cisco and then have AI use it as a tool? Because in summary, I don't think your business roadmap, or that your business roadmap needs AI. I think your AI roadmap needs a lot of business and use cases. So that is the last one. Also, if you can check on trust.cisco.com, you see the good, the bad, and the ugly of how we try to tackle this. And I think that's something that is of benefit for all of you.
Proximus next. Tech Biz People.